Alexander the Great, whose name is forever etched in the annals of history as one of the most extraordinary conquerors, achieved feats that shaped the ancient world in profound ways. By the time of his death at the age of 32 in 323 BCE, Alexander had carved an empire stretching from the heart of Greece across Persia and into the fringes of the Indian subcontinent. Yet his premature demise abruptly halted what might have been an even more monumental legacy. But imagine a world in which Alexander had lived longer, recovered from his illnesses, and not only conquered the northwestern territories of India, but marched deeper into the vast and diverse subcontinent, completing its conquest. The ripple effects of such an alternate history would be immense, altering political landscapes, cultures, philosophies, economies, and perhaps even the very trajectory of global civilization. To fully appreciate the scale of this alternate scenario, it is vital to retrace Alexander's actual campaign in India. In 327 BCE, after conquering the Persian Empire and securing control over vast territories, Alexander crossed the formidable Hindu Kush mountains to enter what is now modern-day Pakistan and parts of northwest India. His forces confronted King Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes River in 326 BCE, a battle that would become legendary not only for its ferocity, but also for the respect Alexander showed toward his opponent after defeating him. Despite the victory, Alexander's troops, weary from years of campaigning and fearful of the unknown lands further east, expressed deep reluctance to continue. Faced with dissent and dwindling morale, Alexander was forced to halt his expansion eastward and begin the long journey back to Babylon. Yet, in this alternate reality, let us suppose that Alexander's health had not failed him. Suppose he had survived the bouts of fever that plagued him and inspired his troops with renewed vigor and vision. Further, imagine his army, rather than rebelling, galvanized by Alexander's charisma and leadership, marched further eastwards, traversing the great Gangetic plains, encountering and subduing powerful kingdoms like Magadha, ruled by the Nanda dynasty, Kosala, Vatsa, and others that dotted the subcontinent. These kingdoms, though formidable and rich in culture and resources, might have eventually succumbed to Alexander's seasoned military tactics combined with strategic alliances and assimilation policies. The political map of India during this time was fragmented, with numerous dynasties and tribal states governing their territories. The Nanda Empire, centered in Magadha, was one of the most powerful kingdoms with a vast and well-equipped army, reputedly consisting of war elephants and large infantry divisions. Conquering such a state would have required Alexander to adapt his conventional warfare tactics, perhaps innovating new methods to counter war elephants and dense infantry formations. His historical aptitude for incorporating local soldiers and tactics into his armies might have been crucial here, leading to a synthesis of Greek and Indian military traditions. As Alexander's conquests expanded, the political structure of the subcontinent would likely have undergone significant transformations, instead of the continuation of the Maurya Empire, which in actual history emerged from Chandragupta Maurya's unification of northern India shortly after Alexander's death. We would see the rise of a vast Hellenistic Indian empire. This empire could have adopted a hybrid system of governance blending Macedonian administrative techniques with Indian traditions of kingship and bureaucracy. Capitals like Pataliputra, with its strategic location on the Ganges, might have evolved into cosmopolitan hubs where Greek and Indian officials worked side by side, fostering governance innovations and cultural exchanges. Culturally, the fusion of Greek and Indian elements would have accelerated dramatically beyond what was historically seen in the Indo-Greek kingdoms that arose centuries later. Already, the historical Gandhara art exhibited a remarkable blend of Hellenistic and Indian artistic motifs, but in this alternate timeline, such syncretism might have become the norm across the subcontinent. Greek sculpture techniques could have merged with Indian religious iconography to produce a new artistic language influencing everything from temple architecture to coinage, pottery, and textiles. This cultural blending would not be restricted to art alone. Literature, theatre, and music might have absorbed Hellenistic styles, creating new genres and narratives that bridge the two worlds. Philosophically, the interaction between Greek and Indian thought would have profound implications. The Greek schools of philosophy, Stoicism, Epicureanism, skepticism, already grappled with questions of ethics, nature, and existence. Indian philosophy, with its vast array of systems including Buddhism, Jainism, Samkhya, and Vedanta, approached these questions from different but sometimes complementary angles. Under Alexander's prolonged rule and cultural patronage, intellectuals and scholars from both traditions might have met in forums akin to academies or universities, exchanging ideas and synthesizing new schools of thought. The famed Buddhist concept of impermanence, for example, might have intermingled with Stoic ideas about accepting fate and controlling passions, producing philosophies that influenced not only the elites but also the common people. Religiously, the syncretism could have led to the emergence of hybrid cults and beliefs. Greek gods might have been identified with Indian deities, Zeus with Indra, Athena with Saraswati, Apollo with Surya, leading to shared rituals, festivals, and temples honouring composite deities. This cultural exchange could have softened barriers between communities, promoting a sense of unity within the sprawling empire. At the same time, this might have posed challenges, as traditional religious leaders resisted changes or imperial attempts to regulate faith. Yet Alexander was known for his relative tolerance of local customs, suggesting that a balanced religious coexistence was possible. Economically, Alexander's extended empire would have revolutionized trade and commerce. The vast network from the Mediterranean through Persia and into India would facilitate unprecedented exchange of goods, technologies, and ideas. Spices, textiles, and precious stones from India would find their way to Greek markets, while Greek technologies in metallurgy, shipbuilding, and urban planning would spread eastwards. The Silk Road, which historically developed over centuries, might have become active far earlier and more intensively, fostering cross-continental trade that enriched all participants. Ports along the Indian Ocean, like those in the Malabar coast, might have become bustling hubs connecting the empire to Arabian and East African traders. Military innovations would also have emerged from this prolonged fusion. Greek phalanx formations might have been adapted to include war elephants, and Indian cavalry techniques could have been integrated into Macedonian strategies. The result might have been a formidable military force unmatched in the ancient world, capable of deterring rival powers such as the emerging kingdoms in Central Asia or the Chinese states to the northeast. This might have delayed or altered the rise of other empires, including the Maurya and Gupta dynasties, and even impacted the formation of later Asian empires. On the social front, Alexander's conquest often involved settling Greek colonists and veterans in conquered lands, creating new cities and spreading Hellenistic culture. In India, new cities founded in the Greek style, complete with theatres, gymnasiums, and agoras, would have dotted the landscape alongside ancient Indian towns. This urbanization would attract merchants, artisans, and scholars from diverse backgrounds, creating melting pots of cultures and accelerating technological and intellectual progress. The mixing of populations might have also influenced language, with Greek becoming a lingua franca, alongside Sanskrit and Prakrit dialects. The ripple effects of this alternate history extend into the long term. Without the fragmentation that followed Alexander's actual death, the Indian subcontinent might have remained politically unified under Hellenistic rule for centuries. This could have influenced the spread of religions like Buddhism, which historically flourished under the Mauryas. In this alternate timeline, Buddhism might have taken on Hellenistic philosophical characteristics or spread further west into Europe through Greek networks, altering the religious map of the ancient world. Moreover, the extended Greek presence in India might have impacted the development of science and technology. Greek contributions to medicine, astronomy, and mathematics might have merged with Indian advancements, creating accelerated progress in these fields. The famous Indian numeral system, which eventually influenced the Arabic numerals used worldwide, might have reached the Mediterranean much earlier, transforming mathematics and commerce. In terms of global history, this alternate scenario might have changed the dynamics of later periods. The Roman Empire, emerging centuries later, would face a united and culturally diverse empire stretching into India, challenging its ambitions in the east. Later Islamic expansions might have encountered a different political landscape as well, with Hellenistic Indian states influencing the spread of culture and knowledge in new ways. Ultimately, if Alexander the Great had lived longer and completed the conquest of India, the world might have witnessed an early sustained fusion of Eastern and Western civilizations. This fusion would influence language, culture, religion, governance, and technology in profound ways, potentially accelerating globalization centuries before it actually occurred. The legacy of such an empire would have shaped the cultural memory and identity of vast regions, creating a world where the boundaries between East and West were far more blurred and interconnected. In conclusion, the prolonged life of Alexander the Great and his complete conquest of India presents an alternate history full of possibilities and profound changes, from political unification to cultural synthesis, from economic expansion to philosophical exchanges. This scenario invites us to reimagine how the ancient world might have evolved and how that evolution could have shaped the modern human story in unimaginable ways.